So I've had to psych myself up into making this video. Probably because I've seen too many episodes of Criminal Minds. So if you know what's been going on with me, I want you to know it's the saga with the house burning down. It's not over. I believe that was arson. And I tried to tell the fire investigator. I tried to talk to the oh God, see, I can't even think right now. The investigator, the detective assigned to this case about some things that happened, and no one will listen to me. And then the person that I'm talking about, I pressed charges on them, and I talked to the prosecutor, the DA, whatever, and of course you only have just a few minutes to explain yourself, and they get so impatient with you, and I just have had hell with this whole situation before the fire, and I'm about to walk back into the lion's den, wasp nest, whatever. I've been here in Mississippi. I'm grateful that David let me stay here over the holidays. But I have a court date on January the 9th with this person that I believe burned my house down. I want to explain everything that happened, all the way from the day that I met these people, even before, because I haven't had the opportunity to explain myself to the detectives and the investigators. Every time I try to talk to them, I get so tongue-tied, and they ask questions one right after another. And if you know me, you know I have to process questions and answer them slowly and methodically. And during the investigation of the house, there was, and I'll explain exactly what happened in just a minute, but it was just so disgusting that during the investigation, they were accusing me of burning my own house down, and there was some people, some kids that or other kids to me that I was trying to help, and they were accusing me of having affairs with it. It was just so much. It was just awful, and it's just getting started. Believe it or not, yeah, to think that the house burning was just the spark that gets it all started, but I have a feeling that things are going to get a whole lot worse. So I'm putting this online because I want my side to finally be heard in a way that I have control over the information coming out of my mouth without being flustered. And if anything happens to me, I didn't commit suicide, call Bradley County Sheriff's Department, Bradley County, Tennessee, or Cleveland Police Department. So I met, well, first of all, I bought the house because I bought the house because I needed to, keeping my junk off Facebook. But I did all of the whatever I could do myself. I did the electrical, the a lot of the building, the construction, the repairs, the plumbing I did myself. You'd be surprised what you can do when you have to do it. You don't have a choice. But I didn't do any, of course, I needed help for heavy lifting and things like that. And I had a very small amount of time to do it in, and I'd already went way past what I was supposed to do, the time that I'd allotted, and I needed help. And I'd get up, I would work to 5 o'clock in the morning and turn around and get back up at 10 o'clock and jump right back into it. And there was a lot of personal issues happening. A lot of you know that my suicide attempt was in, I think, the end of April, beginning of May. In the middle of all this, of course, that put me way behind, and I needed help. And when I got started, again, I was working one day, and there's a knock at the door, and I opened the, checked the door, and it was one of the neighbors. One of the neighbors' sons had. This is the story they told me, that they moved. They used to live in North Carolina, and they moved here after it was the strangest thing. His mother, no, his grandmother and her mother died on the same day. It's a couple. His initials are JEM, and her initials are SL. I'm not going to give their names just in case. I don't want a bunch of drama. But I'm making this video, like I said, for my own protection. So anyway, they told me that they lived in North Carolina, and they managed some kind of campground, and then they moved here because her mother and his grandmother died on the same day, and so they were going to stay here and help the family, the families, whatever. And so they were living, or they were staying in the in his parents' backyard, because there was a lot of other family that were there because of the funeral and blah blah blah. They were staying in their backyard in a tent. And the young man said that he knew a lot about the house, and he did. He told me all kinds of stuff about the house, where things were, and how to fix certain things, and when certain things were built, and all kinds of things, and which was very useful to me, because there was a lot of things I needed. I didn't know, like, where certain things were, like, anyway. But he was able to tell me, to show me. So he did know about it, and it turns out a lot of interesting things about the house. It was the person that lived there had grown marijuana up above the attic. Up above the garage. They had this huge hydroponic system going on up there. Big funny story. But anyway, this kid JEM is the one that ran the hydroponics, or built the hydroponic system. Found out. Anyway, but before I knew this is when I allowed him to come and help me. So anyway, he was looking for a job. He was in the process of looking for a job, and just needed some extra money in the meantime while he was job hunting, because they just got there. He was on a bicycle, because his girlfriend had the car. So I needed help bad. I needed help bad, and he came in, and he helped me do so much. He knocked a bunch of stuff out, and he did good work. I was pleased with him, and he was very helpful, very, very helpful. And thought for himself, didn't have to ask me a bunch of stuff. He did what he had to do, knew what he had to do, and I was grateful. And later on, that was, I think, middle of June. Oh, and the other thing about the investigators, it's like they would ask me dates and when this happened or that happened, and I'm not good like that. I can't remember things half the time. So, or this happened before that or whatever. I don't work that way. It's like I don't live in time or something. My mind, I live on the astral plane or something. Time doesn't mean anything to me. But anyway, I'm just kidding about that. So June-ish, middle of June is when I met him. And he helped me. And then his girlfriend, SL, came in and helped even more. And then we were down to the wire, nose to the grindstone, trying to meet this deadline that I had. And he invited one of his friends. His friend's initials are KO. And oh boy, they helped so much. It was just wonderful. We managed to pull everything together in the house. It was just beautiful. And I met that deadline. I was able to get started because I was running out of money and needed to start making income. And they helped so much. It was wonderful. Well, somewhere along the way, some strangeness started happening. They were still helping me. I was trying to, run it as just an Airbnb. And my goal was to, because I still had a lot of things that needed to be fixed. It wasn't ready. I wanted to eventually turn it into a bed and breakfast, but there was still so much that needed to be done. I bought it as a foreclosure and it was just destroyed when I got it. But somewhere along the way, I started noticing things missing. And I just don't even want to talk about this. Oh, God. I started noticing things missing. And they knew enough about me that they knew I was going through, I was separated, and they knew that my husband probably wouldn't call me and check on me, and they knew that I didn't know anyone in the area. They knew that they were the only ones that I did know in the area. They knew that I was pretty much isolated and alone, and that nobody would ever notice me gone if something were to happen to me. So things started coming up missing. And then one day I saw SL, the girl, the female. She was going through my personal belongings. And I knew something told me to play dumb. Like I pretend like a dumb blonde. Oh, no stereotyping, offense intended. So I did. I knew that if I have confronted them, if I said anything to them, that strangeness would happen, and I felt like I was protecting myself. So Tennessee has this crazy law. It's called squatter's law or tenant law, something, not squatter law, tenant law, where even if you spend the night with somebody, or if somebody spent the night with you, you could not make them leave. Crazy. You would actually have to do the whole lawyer eviction thing. And I knew that there was no way that I could make them leave. Well, I'll tell you how they ended up staying with me. They were staying with his dad in the backyard. But it was so hot, and they were staying in that tent, that they would come and they would just be dripping sweat. And then, I started letting them take showers at in the bathroom. And then, it started happening where in the middle of the summer where it was so hot, and I don't know if you've ever been camping in the summer, but if you're in your tent and you wake up, it's just like you're so hot that you can't wake up, and you end up feeling sick and nauseous. And well, whenever JM would come, in the mornings, he'd be just like pale, just sick, look, just from the heat and everything. And I told him to bring his sleeping bag or whatever and stay in the garage. At least there's a fan in there. And they didn't for a while. And finally, it was just so miserable finally. And then, whenever I did talk to David, he would be like, he just didn't trust this person. But I mean, you think I'm by myself. I don't have anyone to talk to even. And the whole time that I was at that house, I bought the house in February, and it was already June, and I'm isolated in that house with nobody to talk to, and had been for months and months already. I was glad to have the company, and they were so helpful, and they were so good. Dave, maybe he does have a decent judge of character, but I wouldn't have been there if well, anyway, it's beside the point. So yeah, Shasta was, she was going through my stuff. Oops, I said her name. She was going through my stuff one day, and I just pretended like I didn't even see it. I just walked by and I did something else or went somewhere else, and I knew something was wrong. I just knew it. And I just felt unsafe. Because, I knew they were stealing stuff. And they were stealing big stuff too, like expensive stuff. And I'm thinking in my mind, wait, what are they going to do when they're done stealing stuff? What are they going to do with me? They think I'm just going to tolerate it? What, Well, John would, I said his name too. They would bring people like his friends, because, he actually lived there when he, high school or whatever, but he would bring his friends over to help, and they were so helpful. And I was glad to have them. And where am I going with this? Oh yeah, one day, I was feeling really unsafe, and anyway, all kinds of just trying to struggle to get done. Well, John, that kid, he brought his friend over to have me. His friend was looking for a job, and their dad didn't believe that whatever, but anyway, he was afraid if he went home that his dad was going to beat him up. And apparently, domestic violence is a pretty big thing there in that area. Something told me to, I don't feel like it was the Lord, told me to offer that person to stay as well, so that it wouldn't just be the three of us in the house. And I did, and I was like, why don't you stay here? I stay here. You can work for me. I can't pay you now, but I'll pay you, and I told him that'll keep you from, getting in trouble, whatever, anyway. And he accepted, and JM, he was like, when I was offering that, he was like, oh, no, he was just like freaking out that I dared ask this person to stay, to live there too with them. And over in the garage, I mean, it's a huge garage. It was 2,000 square feet. But anyway, I had an apartment upstairs. So, oh yeah, that at that point is when JM changed his personality, completely changed. He freaked out, turned into a devil. So June, July, August. So that was 3 or 4 months they'd been there, and 3 months. So at that point, when his reaction made me realize that maybe I was right, and so then the other kid's name is DA, are his initials. So him and SL, one day they went to somewhere. They took my van. I told them to go to the store, but they took it somewhere else and were gone a long, long time. And JM absolutely freaked out, thinking that the two of them were, doing the dirty. And when they came back, he beat them up, both of them, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't see it, but I knew that it was happening. I didn't know what to do. And see, the thing is, I had already started realizing that this person was capable of these things, that it take me forever. I mean, I'm already up to 22 minutes this video, but so yeah, I started seeing a lot of crazy stuff, and then realizing what they were doing. Anyway, they ended up, SL and JM ended up parting ways, but I kind of feel like that this was planned. This was their way of removing themselves, because remember, like I said, things were missing. And at this point, and the thing that they would do is they would turn things upside down, under the, like they were supposedly organizing it, but I never could find it. I mean, they would move things where it wasn't supposed to be, and I think it was just to distract me so that I wouldn't realize what was missing, but I knew everything that was missing. I couldn't tell anything. And I mean, I've watched enough TV to know that, things don't always work out like you expect them to if you report somebody or whatever. And I knew that if I were to report them or whatever, that nothing would happen to them. They'd just come right back after me. And so I just kept my mouth shut. Just something told me to be patient. And I'm not normally a patient person. I wish I could be more patient, as patient as I was. But finally, yeah, they parted ways, and it was just me and DA there, trying to, keep the business running, or not the business, trying to keep the house clean. And, whenever people, I'm calling it business because that's how I was. It wasn't a business, but you know what I'm saying, Airbnb. Anyway, Dustin was helping me. Well, I said his name too. Golly. Anyway, yeah, so bunch of strangeness happened, and I'm so tired. I don't even want to go into that, but I have to. It's part of it. JM he knew the area. He lives like catty cornered, like corner ways from my property, his house. Like, so he could come through the woods and sneak in, and nobody would ever see him. You know, he knew the place well enough. He knows all the little nooks and crannies to sneak in and out. And he helped him build it, you know, when he was a teenager. But so he was mad at his girlfriend and was trying, I think he knew I was onto something and was trying to make me think that, yeah, I forgot to say, he had gotten mad at her and beat her car with a baseball bat and busted the back windshield out. And this was over at his parents' house. And so she drove it over, and when she drove it over, he got mad at her again, slashed tires. And so I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. But I knew I had enough sense to know if I called the police or did whatever, then what was going to keep him from coming back? So this whole time I'm pretending like I did not see a thing, like everything just was like, whoo, and they must have thought I was stupid. But I was doing that for my own safety. But so yeah, so the window, so anyway, it was raining constantly, and they were having to cover it over with whatever they could find, and I was getting tired of my tarps getting messed up or whatever. And so I told her she could pull the car into my garage until she had a chance to whatever tape it up. And so they did, and then it was after that they got into this big fight where, I mean, it was terrible, where he beat her and DA up. And I just totally pretended like I didn't see anything. And so I just got such a headache. So anyway, he was trying to frame her, you know, once I guess he realized that maybe I kind of saw what was going on, and maybe he realized what I was doing, that I was playing dumb. And so he took, she had always had things piled up in her car, like all the way to the ceiling, and there was just enough room for her in there. And I thought it was just because that's all her clothes, you know, because they moved from North Carolina. Well, I was walking by there one day, and I saw a pair of my headphones. I had some kind of rose gold like cordless earphones, and I saw them laying across the top of her stuff, and I was like, I wonder if it's legal for me to go in there and see if my stuff is in there. And so I called the sheriff's department, and I asked for a deputy to come out, and Deputy Rominger was her name. And she came out, and I told her what all happened, and I asked her if it's okay. And she's the one that told me, you know, she verified that tenant law, that there's nothing I could do to make them believe that they were, but thank goodness that they had left on their own. And anyway, so, my throat is so sore. She told me that it's okay for me to go through the car. And she told me to video it, and I did. I videoed 3 hours of me going through that car. So DA was there. He was there. He helped me go in. You know, he held my feet, pulled me. It was awful. So I mean, we started at the very back and started pulling stuff out the back window and going through everything. My God, you wouldn't believe the things that I found. But anyway, I you know, just pulled things out one at a time till we emptied the whole entire car. And my stuff was in every nook. You know, of course, it was covered over by other stuff, by her clothes and everything. locked in her glove box, in the tire jack compartment, under everything, under the seat. And the things that concerned me the most was I had, it was stuff that, she'd had to go find, and she had to have known what she was looking for. So these are some of the things. There were some debit cards that were still in, because like she stole my mail, like before it was opened, like out of the mailbox. So it was debit cards still in the envelopes. JCPenney card, she had Caleb and Eli's banking information. She had David's banking information, my banking information. She had, now when I tell you what I think they were planning, you'll understand why this is important. She had stolen several of my journals. I journal, I'm a writer, I journal. She stole some of my planners. They even stole the notebook that I was writing in when I was at Lakeside, which, personal information. She stole, I found the planner that I had that had all of my account information and passwords, all of my social media passwords, everything. I found that planner, but she had ripped the page out with all of my account passwords. So she has those. My homeowner's insurance policy information. Oh, what else? All of my financial, had every facet of my life, from financial to banking to my personal information, my social media passwords, my banking passwords, my health insurance, my homeowner's insurance, everything. And some of the others that I found, like the owner's manuals to my DeLonghi espresso maker, to my washer and dryer, to the sink, and then I started looking around, and I realized that they had moved a lot of my a lot of the construction material was gone. They had moved like staged things in front of the door, like they were going to come back and get it. They had the owner's manuals in her car, and then had the things to the owner's manuals stored somewhere close by. And I went to Eli's wedding, and that's when a lot of the stuff was taken when I was gone for that. And of course I left them there because I needed them to clean up after one of the guests that left. So here's what I thought they were going to do. I thought that they were going to do something bad to me. First of all, that they were going to steal my identity. But then they had my journals, so they knew personal information about me. They knew past information about me. They knew my speech patterns. They know everything about me. They had my social media passwords where they could get into my social media. I believed that they were going to do something to me. And then they were going to pretend to be me, that they were going to post on my Facebook as me or whatever. Nobody would have known that I was gone because nobody checks on me. I don't know anybody, and nobody cared about me enough to check on me. And I believe with everything that I am, that they were either going to kill me or kidnap me. I'm not crazy. I swear to you, I'm not crazy. This is what I believed. And then when Dustin came, it messed up their plan. Messed up their plan. And Dustin, I mean, all of that happened. And then I pressed charges. Okay, so yeah, all that happened. Of course, that I had formulated that plan before anything happened. And I was thinking in my head, what were they going to do once they were done stealing everything? Do they really think that I was just going to let it happen? I believed this is what I was thinking before my house burned down, that they were going to kill me. And of course, at that time, I was thinking like in a joking way, like they're probably going to kill me and burn the house down, because the homeowner's insurance was there. This is what I was thinking. And then at that point, once I had all of that stuff, I had proof and I took pictures and I had the videos and everything. That's when I went to the police and I pressed charges. So when they got their papers, of course, he started texting me, messaging me, all kinds of crazy things, threatening. He had important people in high places. Oh, yeah, I meant to go back. Okay, why did I allow them in? Before I let them move in, I did background checks because I had that, because of the trucking business, the trucking company, I had the ability to do background checks. So I did background checks on both of them. Some little things came up. And I talked to JA's court advocate because he was in the foster care system. He's still in contact with his foster parents and his court advocate. I talked to all these people before I let them come into my world, into my realm. And everyone was like, oh, he's a good kid. I cannot believe everything he went through. I just can't believe he turned out to be such a good person, So that, I mean, I did do my due diligence. I checked on them. No red flags. I mean, maybe a little one, but, I'm all about giving people second chances. But, so yeah, so he started threatening and all kinds of crazy things, trying to make me drop the charges, and I wouldn't. And August the 24th, he said, oh, okay, I guess you want war. It's war. And then he's like, you don't know who you're messing with, and all of this stuff is saying, and I've got all of the messages saved. And then he started sending me fire emojis. And I just was like, isn't that weird? Why is he sending, well, I guess it's a thing. Maybe that's what kids are doing nowadays. And that was August the 24th. And then September 7th is when the fire hit. Okay, so Dustin said that he didn't, he didn't like the smell of Precious's litter box. And so he lit a candle. And since we just mowed the lawn, the gas fumes ignited when he lit the candle, which that doesn't even sound right, does it? It sounds stupid. Here's what I think. Because I was upstairs working. I was trying, of course we had guests and everything. And Dustin, he was acting weird with these. It's like he kept trying to, like I caught him, like he was trying to get them to take him to the store or something. Maybe it was the people before, anyway, he just wasn't acting right. So this day I was irritated at him because he's supposed to be helping me up there. We were doing drywall. And I gotta back up. Okay, so about the day, okay, after I found all that stuff and after I pressed the charge, that's when, okay, anyway, I found a bag with, yeah, no, it was that same day. There was a bag, it was Shasta's purse, and it had my no, it had some of my, oh, that's the other thing. They took all of my flash drives that had all of my book research and everything, like all of the parts of the books for the next series. Oh, just sickening. Years worth of work. 4 years worth of work. Anyway, so yeah, the purse was there and it had a lot of Shasta, a lot of her stuff, and it had like some of my flash drives. It had my external hard drive. It had a DVD burner, a writer, CD DVD writer that goes to one of the little computers that we had, laptops, and all kinds of my stuff and her stuff in it. The purse was sitting right there. And I picked it up and I was like, he's trying to frame her, because that's when they were fighting. He's trying to frame her to make me think that she did everything. And I picked it up and I the little purse, and I took it out. Dustin was mowing the yard. And anyway, I took it out to him. I was like, look, he's trying to frame her. What an idiot. Like, I don't know what he's doing. And we had a little laugh, ha, ha, ha. And I took it back in and I set it down on a little landscaping cart right inside the door. And I went to go weed eat the front yard. And then when I came back, it was gone. And like, I'm stupid. Like, so he figured out somehow to get back in the house, into the garage, without us, or without me seeing him. So anyway, yeah, so the going back to the day of the fire, it ignited whatever. I believe somehow he got in there, and the way that Dustin was, you already heard his name, I'm just going to use it. The way that he described it was, when he lit the candle, he said the fire did the weirdest thing. It went whoop, whoop, like it spread, like gas had been poured on the floor or something like that. And I told the fire investigators that, and they were like, no, it was just the fumes just ignited. And how? Like, the fumes had to come from somewhere, and they just weren't concerned, because Dustin was like, yeah, I did it, here, handcuff me or whatever. And so they won't listen to anything else. But I somehow, I think that somehow I know that this other kid had something to do with it. I know he did. And I know Dustin is covering. And something is not sitting right, but I know. Anyways, so after that, I was upstairs and I was frustrated because Dustin wouldn't stay up there. He kept disappearing. He just kept leaving, and I was so irritated at him. And so I was listening to Queensryche. I had it turned way up loud, and I was puttying and scraping, and was pissed off. And so at some point, it's like I smelled something, and I turned around and there was smoke coming up through the floor. And I walked over to sit, over by the sink. We just installed a sink and we were trying to, whatever. And I walked back over there and I moved, it was like by my panini maker. I had a little griddler, and there's fire coming up, or smoke. And I was like, I don't remember cooking anything. And I moved the little cabinet thing that was sitting on, and then the fire started coming up through the floor. And about that time, I didn't have time to process what was going on. And Dustin came running up the stairs. He said, Manuela, I effed up. we got to get out of here. There's a fire. And I'm like, oh, and I'm still like stunned. And so I went and I walked down the stairs about halfway. And, the fire was probably 2 or 3 feet away from the banister of the stairs. And I realized I forgot Gimmick. Well, I had enough time to run back up and grab Gimmick. And thank God my phone was sitting right next to him. And I grabbed him and my cell phone, and I turned. And the time that it took me to run back up, grab Gimmick, and turn around and go back down or back to the top of the stairs, the fire had already come all the way over and was starting to overlap the banisters. If it scared me so bad, that all I could do was I just threw Gimmick at Dustin. I was like, y'all get out of here, because I was too scared to go through it. Well, he ran down to the bottom of the stairs and just threw Gimmick out the window, and then came back up and was going to drag me down. And I feel so bad because I did that, and I almost killed us both, because by the time he got back up to get me, we couldn't. The fire had already come over the steps, and the steps were already on fire. And so he was doing his best to get me to do something. All I could do was just stand there. I was so scared. And so the fire had already come up through the floor, and it was just like that big thick black smoke, and it was all around. And then by the time, because like there's 2 different rooms upstairs, and I was kind of standing in the middle of the first floor, and he was like fighting me, trying to get me to go back to the door. And like I said, by the time, he got me to do anything, the fire had already come through there, and that was all already engulfed, and there was no way to get down. And so all we could do was go the other way, and there was only one window upstairs, only one. And so, the fire, it had already come up like against the okay, so I don't even know directions, the left side of the room. And so it was like the side, and then the door. So all of that was trapped, and it was starting to go over to like there's a wall, a wall there and a door to go to the next room, and then there's a window to go outside. So we finally went through all of that and went through to the other room. And I ran, and I pulled the window open, and I yelled, we had some guests there, and I was like, well, there's a fire. And they said, we know. Like, well, I'm always the last one to find anything out. So, and I saw that they were getting their stuff out, all of their stuff, and they were moving their cars down to the end of the road and everything. And so the whole room was already just engulfed, and there's big, thick black smoke. And one of the guests, they were in a pickup truck. I told you they were moving their cars. So he had enough sense, enough presence of mind. He backed to the second floor at like 20 feet, and I was looking out there. I was like, okay, burn or jump out and break an ankle. Well, that's a no-brainer. But, I was, getting ready to climb out. And that's when that guy, he just, instead of pulling down the driveway, he backed the truck up to the garage door. And I jumped out first, and then Dustin jumped out after me into the back of the truck. And when I got out, Gimmick came walking around. He looked so pitiful, like he was just just in a daze. And anyway, when I got out, I was thinking, what about, Precious and Morris? And so I went back around to go in underneath the awning had already started to ignite or whatever, and I stuck my head in, and I was gonna go in and try to see if I could find my babies, and the whole place, it was all, there was like a circle, like when you walk through the door, it's just a circle where there wasn't, and the fire, it was like reflecting on the floor, and it was just, it's something out of, God, it was awful. And I went in, and probably about 5 feet, and I was thinking about where they would be, and that's, the ceiling started falling down, kind of sort of, and so I thought maybe it's not such a good idea to go. And so I went back outside, and all those guys were like, "Come on, you got to get down to the foot of the road," and I was like, "No way." And I walked around to the back, and I was trying to figure out how to get the water hose loose, and I'm like, "What the crap good is this little water hose gonna do?" And I feel so dumb, because if I had at least tried, I could have, sprayed water and kept the fire from crossing over to the house until the fire trucks got there. But no, I had to be chicken and go down to the road and watch my whole life blow up. And I watched it, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And finally, the trucks and everything got there, and it was already, because that's the furthest point out in Bradley County, for trucks and things, for the fire trucks that come out there. And so, the ambulance and everything, we had to go get in the ambulance and everything and get checked out. And I was fine. They did the smoke inhalation thing. I was, a 3 out of a 10. I feel like, the Lord had me in a bubble. I was protected. But Dustin he had 2nd-degree burns on the back of his legs, and he had to be airlifted to Vanderbilt. He was a 7 or an 8 on this smoke inhalation thing. And so anyway, they kept Dustin, and they, I went ahead and got out, and I was waiting for the Red Cross to come, because, the fire people told me, the chaplain told me that they had the Red Cross coming, and, that it was going to be okay, that we have a place to stay and all that kind of stuff. And I stood there, and I just watched it all burn to the ground. And I couldn't even, all I could do is just lay down on the ground. But then the the investigators, before anything was even over with, they were coming over. "Do you know G?" G. He kept saying G. I'm like, "I don't know anybody named G." "Well, he knows you." And I'm like, okay, that's nice. Like, they were already at that point trying to accuse me of burning the house, and, I couldn't even think. I It was so surreal, and, turns out what happened, and I found out, of course, the next day I had to go and talk to the investigators, and they were trying to say that I burned my house down because I didn't have the money to pay for it, and they kept asking who this guy was, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it turned out it was this other person, this JM, was there and told them, was trying to frame me, told the investigators that I was having financial problems, and I said I was going to burn my house down. And, good thing I was 2 months ahead. That was September, and I was paid up to November, and all the bills were paid. And, so I think he was there. He somehow got in and poured the gas, and somehow Dustin, for some reason, lit the candle. Like, why the crap? You're in a garage. Why are you gonna light a candle? You think it's gonna make any difference at all to cover any smell? And it didn't make any sense at all. It still doesn't to me, and I think it's hogwash. And I believe that they were planning on doing this anyway. And I believe that they were planning on killing me. And I believe that they were planning on burning the house down. Dustin just got in the way. And they went ahead and finished their plans. And I have, you can believe me when I tell you this or not, but I know things. And I was at a prayer meeting. I was at the prayer bar at the firehouse meeting at OCI, and I was praying, and I heard just as plain in my spirit, it will get worse for you, but it will miss you. It will fly by. So I I was like, that is so random. That is so freaking random. And well, the next day I was at the house, and me and Dustin were at the house, and we were trying to clean up sort of in the back, and I was messing around back there, and I looked down out, by the fire pit. I looked down, and there's little shell casings, and it occurred to me that's what the Lord was telling me. I feel like He's gonna try to shoot me, and that's, the Lord said it will miss you, it will fly by. It's gonna get worse for me, but it would miss me, it would fly by. And so I believe that I'm gonna get shot at. They're gonna try to do this again, and then the part, it will get worse for me. Okay, I get it will miss me, it will fly by, but I don't get the it's gonna get worse for me part. But I've had other dreams, that did come true, and that's why I'm so involved in the Q movement, and that's why I'm so um uh strongly tied into politics, because I had dreams and I knew what was going to happen if I didn't get involved, and it was ugly. Um, and I know millions of other people had the same kinds of dreams, but I believe that they're going to try to kill me again. I do. And so I have a court date on September the 9th. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, one of the things that I found when I was going through her car was I found a whole bunch of occult books of like witchcraft and satanic books. I found a whole bunch of stuff. And I feel like they are working black magic on me, which I could, she kept trying to give me stuff, and I always felt real weird about taking it. I would like, I'd get rid of it. Like she tried to give me yeah. Anyway, I felt weird about it. And I feel like, I understood why I felt strange about her trying to give me stuff when I found all of those witchcraft and spell books in her car. But let me think. Yeah, so oh yeah, the other thing, when I told them that I didn't, that they could, because they were thinking I was trying to keep their stuff in their car, in her car and his stuff. But anyway, he kept trying to accuse me of stealing like his PlayStation and stuff like that. I've never even seen a PlayStation that he had. And he yeah, when I told them that I only wanted them, that I wanted a sheriff's deputy to be present when they came and got their stuff. Well, they kept showing up like out of the blue without calling me, and I told them to call me. And anyway, they one day they showed up just out of the blue, and so and he was yelling and screaming at Dustin about wearing, like, you stole my clothes. You see the bags under my eyes. You tell I don't sleep much anymore. Anyway, he was just doing all kinds of stuff, screaming and yelling, and I called the police, and the sheriff's deputies came out, and so much more, and this video is already over an hour. Sheriff's deputy came out, and yeah, he was, when I was down here when Eli's wedding, he was sending me pictures. No, 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 not Eli's wedding. It was after that. He was sending me pictures of his hand was cut, like big gashes in his hand, and I didn't even want to know what was going on because I was so ticked off at him. So bloody. I mean, it was nasty, and so that, that's when he came, him and the lady too, the girl too, to get their stuff, and I was like, I never said you couldn't have your stuff. That was you that came up with that in your mind. And anyway, so finally the sheriff's deputy got there, and I was telling the deputy that I found a bunch of his stuff in her car, my stuff in her car. And he turned around and he said, oh my God, I was over at KO's house, and there was a bunch of stuff, that of your stuff there. Remember your pegboards and that brass faucet? I helped him install that. If you went and you could look out the window, you can look into his window and you'll see it right there. Like he was trying to throw KO under the bus, which trying to like turn around and try to frame him. So it's like he's blaming everybody for everything. And then one of the laptops, that they took was it was it was just a streaming thing. It doesn't have any memory. You're supposed to use an external hard drive with it. And well, the two of them first told me that his KO had it and that he freaked out and he was, doing all this crazy stuff and got mad because he couldn't get the computer to do anything, so he busted it over his knee. Then turned around when it was just when Shasta left. I know I said her name. When Shasta left, he told the sheriff's deputies that she was the one that broke the thing over her knee. Like, anyways, like, can't get his story straight. And anyway, so I felt like it was the safest thing for me to do to go, "Oh, okay, well, I'm sorry I accused you of it. We'll file charges against KO." And, so he was all satisfied. He was telling the cops all this crazy stuff, yeah, and his arm, his hand was wrapped up, bleeding or whatever, and so they tried to call get him to go to the doctor. He's got some kind of phobia about going to the emergency room or whatever, and anyway, so he came back. He wouldn't go, and the ambulance even came and looked at, that he would not go have his hand looked at. And I mean, it was nasty. It was like that big. It was across his wrist where his tendon, and it cut his tendon, and it was like that wide open. It was horrible. They couldn't talk him into accepting treatment, even though the ambulance came out there. And and they said it will go bad. It will gangrene. It's gonna go. You're gonna lose your hand. And he still wouldn't go. Well, a few days later, he came over, and what he had done is he had taken Shasta's car key and broke the chip out of it and hid the chip so she couldn't drive off with it. And he hid it right inside the little receptacle, the plug outlet thing. It was like it was outside. Just the little blue boxes were mounted on the wall there on the 2x4s. It's exposed, and he had it stuck right in there. Well, he came over. He wanted to get the car, and I believe it's because it's that point that they decided that they were going to burn the house. So he came and he got the chip, and did this big theatrics, crazy stuff. He was sick. He was running a fever and all this stuff, and he was wet, but that's probably because he was just walking. But anyway, he's like, I'm running 103-degree fever and da-da-da-da, all this stuff, and how sick he was. And he was just like ranting and raving and doing it. And I see him at one point, he lunges over, and I see him touch that receptacle or that outlet, and I'm like, what the crap is he doing? And it's at that point that he got the thing, and then he was done with us, and he turned around, he was done ranting and raving. He was just trying to distract us, and then he left. So we were trying to organize something or working. I don't remember what we were doing. Oh, we were doing the plumbing. That's what we were doing in the bathroom, because we were trying to make that shower work out there. So, and then the next, let's see, I can't remember if it was before or after, but I needed the garage. And so this when Shasta came over, and she and Dustin went and got this tarp or whatever to cover over her window because it was still busted. But anyway, we pushed her car out and then drug it to the side over there. It was before or after. It was before he came and got the chip. So we pushed the car outside next to the shop, and I wish I knew what the date was, but anyway, I believe it was at that point when he came and got the chip that they decided that they were going to take the car and move it to keep it from getting burned. This is what I believe. Why else? I mean, it was fine. Nobody was bothering it. It was fine right there. I didn't tell him to come get it or no. She had access to everything she wanted. It was fine. It wasn't bothering anything. It was around the side where nobody could see it. And it was at that point he came and he got the chip. And then like 2 days later, they moved the car. And I was upstairs, listening. I had my headphones on. I didn't hear them leave. I just went out there one day. I was taking some trash out, and the car was gone. And and that was not even a week before the house burned. But the detectives, nobody will listen to me. So this is why I took an hour and 9 minutes to make this video. They planned all of that, and it all got screwed up, and I refused to drop the charges, and January the 9th, he has to be at the courthouse with a lawyer, and I have to get all of my stuff together, and I've got to add everything together that they stole and all of that kind of stuff, and get all my stuff together, which burned, which might be another reason that they burned, because I had all the proof I had, you know, was in the blasted garage. So yeah, it's only just getting started for me, because it's over $1,000 that they stole, so it'll be a felony. And excuse me, I think Shasta, she was working at Walmart and stole some things from Walmart, and she's got burglary on her rap sheet. But nothing, you know, nothing that, anyway. So yeah, it's going to be on, because I gotta, after the New Year's, I gotta go back out and get back busy and have the property cleared and tend to this legal stuff and see what else I can get done. I gotta decide if I'm gonna build there, or if I'm gonna build somewhere else, or if I'm gonna buy, or what am I gonna do. I still don't have all of the inventory done. I still don't have the insurance taken care of.